If we could go back to the picture that we just showed a second ago, he was looking off to the distance. He looked really irritated and annoyed. It was a profile photo that we just showed. There it is. I mean, Jamie Gangel, you've been covering Donald Trump for a long time. That is a pissed off Donald Trump.
Right. This is not defiant. We've seen pictures that sort of are sobering. No question, that is an angry Donald Trump. There's two things to point out. In addition to the fact that no one held the door open for him, we had been told that he was likely going to stop in the hallway and speak on his way in.
I'm sitting here texting.
It did not happen. And I have to wonder if one of the reasons it didn't happen is because he's in custody and they would not allow it to happen on the way in. The other thing I just want to mention is I spoke to people who have been in civil cases with him before. We see the public Donald Trump, we see what he posts, we see all this fighting and bravado, and I am told that when he's in a courtroom, and I would think even more so in a criminal case, that he is going to be respectful of this judge, who not too long ago he posted, and he said, the judge assigned to my witch hunt case, a case that's never been charged, before capital letters, hates me. I'm guessing we will hear a very different report.
And I'm being told by a source in New York government that the indictment has been unsealed, although it's not live yet on the website. As John Miller reported several days ago, it is 34 charges against Donald Trump, and I'm told that he pleaded not guilty to all 34 of those charges. And now, of course, we wait to see what those charges are, Carrie Cordero.
Yeah, well, I mean, so we'll see what the actual substance of these charges are and whether they pertain to more crimes or whether they just are that many charges because that's each count of a particular financial transaction, like a check. But as we're waiting to see what the text of that charging document actually is, as we're watching these visuals, one of the things that stands out to me is just this dichotomy between, on one hand, the justice system trying to treat the former president like any other defendant. So going through the normal processing, having taken that time where he had to be behind the scenes and fingerprinted and processed through whatever paperwork needed to be done in New York. But the other side of the screen showing the extensive security procedures and all of the police presence that's there, and the fact that there is not the public in the seats behind the defendant, and this room is not open to the public, just shows how not normal this situation is. And that despite the justice system maybe trying to make this sort of the way other defendants would be treated, it's just not that way. This is a completely unique situation.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is an interesting balance of trying to act as though we're all equal under the law, and Donald Trump will be treated no differently than anybody else, while also, obviously, he is a former president. This has never happened before, Andy McCabe. And also, you know, to be fair, I don't know that a case like this would be brought against Donald Trump, real estate developer, for the same alleged, I mean, who knows? Maybe it would be, but on the other hand, who knows?
It's really hard to say at this point, having not seen the indictment yet, right? But that's a decision that I think each one of us has to come to after reading the document. The DA's office certainly maintains that they bring this charge of falsification of business records, and sometimes with the felony enhancement, on a fairly regular basis against white-collar defendants. But again, we don't know what's going to be in this document. I will say, though, Jake, that these photographs of the former president are so striking, but to me, they are very familiar in a way over a course of over 20 years in the FBI, having been with numerous people on arrest and arraignment day. There is an undeniable humility and humanity that comes out against whoever has been called before the court and accused publicly of a crime in this process. Whether you're, and I've seen it from street-level criminals all the way up to CEOs and white-collar people accused of white-collar offenses. This moment, you may be sitting next to your lawyers, but you are alone before a judge and before the law and facing some very serious allegations. And it is a moment that that he will never forget, his family will never forget. And it's a somber thing no matter who's
And
going through
he
it.
is an individual, of course, very wealthy, to the manor born, who has, in many ways, escaped consequences for actions for decades and decades. So I could see why sitting at that table would be particularly humbling. He probably never thought he would ever have to. Of course, we are still waiting to find out what exactly the charges are. But just to repeat my reporting from before, the indictment has been unsealed. A source in New York government tells me. It is not live yet on the website, but there are 34 charges, and I am told from this source in New York government that Donald Trump pleaded not guilty to all 34 counts. We are